Hello people, back once again with another video. Uh, this time we're going to be doing lab 2, task 1. Alright, let's get into it. So for this one, you will be creating a random unsigned dice number generator. Alright, cool. So a dice is an unsigned shape with the sides labeled by numbers 1, 2, etc. till n. The most common dice used to play various games is the six-sided dice. You can, however, have dice that have many more sides. Write a C++ program that outputs different dice rolls for a given number n-sided dice. Your code must do the following. Read from input, random number output. The file has a list of unknown length of The file has a list of unknown length of values for n. You must produce one dice roll for each value of n in the input file. First draw the flowchart, then enter the code. Okay. So they give us examples. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so whenever code, I always think of it as a puzzle, and you put piece by piece together. So let us address the reading in of the file, of the data from the file. Right, so as we say, we are creating a variable of type if string called input file. Okay, and we need to initialize or make sure we are reading in from the correct file, and the name of the file is input.txt. Okay, don't forget your semicolons. Cool. Now we're told that there is like a lot of different values in the file. In the example given, we have 6 values here, and we need to read in these values one by one, perform some operation, and give the correct output. Okay, so remember this lab focuses around loops. Okay, and for task 1, you're told that you are reading in from a file of unknown length. That means there could be one value, there could be 100, there could be 25. Whenever we don't know the length of a file, we don't know how long we'll be running a loop for, we normally have a while loop. And what a while loop does is that it will continue running until a condition that you put within these round brackets is met or is not met, depending on how you write your condition, right? So what I'm going to do is create a variable. Since we are doing sizes of dice or dies, it's always going to be an integer. You won't get a die with some decimal side, like it doesn't even sound right. Okay, so creating an int of die size of sides, right, and equate that to 0. It's just to initialize things. Okay, now In a while loop, we're going to be reading in the number of sides the dice has, right? And where we're getting from our input file. So input file, I'm going to be taking data from that and putting it into my variable, which I call dice size. So what this line will do is read in data from text file into variable called dice size showed. Okay. Uh, uh, the way I write comments in my videos is from a point of you understanding what I'm doing in each step. But normally when you make comments, you don't explain what you're doing. You explain why you're doing it. So instead of writing this comment, what I could have written if I was getting marked or something would be why am I doing this? Right. I'm doing it because getting dice dimensions to roll dice. So that's why we're dealing with that. Okay, sure. Now in the while loop, right? You have your condition there. In your while loop now, we're gonna perform operations. Okay. So this is gonna be about the weird. Right, we are generating random numbers, so we're gonna learn how to generate random numbers in C++. I'm just going to Geeks for Geeks because I need to just make sure I have the right format of things. Okay, cool. Okay, so for us to use or to produce random numbers, we need to include a library called the standard library, and this takes some uh, functions from the language C and allows us to use it here. And the one that we want to use is called random. Okay, so let me just comment out when using the sky right here. Okay, so we're getting a size of dimensions, and that dimension size will tell us how many sides the dice has. Okay, so for example, if the dice has 6 sides and has numbers on it from 1 to 6, then you can only generate numbers between 1 and 6. You can't have anything below 1 and you can't have anything above 6. So that will help us with our random function or random, yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll need to make another variable, an integer, and this will be us rolling the dice. So I'm going to call this dice roll. I'm going to equate it to 0. Initializing is very important. If you use that variable before in another program and you don't initialize it and you use it somewhere, you might get some, you will get the value assigned to that variable from the previous program. Okay, cool. So I'm going to read in dice size, and then I'm going to roll the dice. So dice that I'm rolling will equal to some random number between 6 and 1. Okay, this is standard format. Okay. Okay, this was an example I gave you 6, but remember, you're getting in some different sizes, right? So this has to be dice size. So between whatever value we get in from the file and 1, that would be our possible the possible value when we roll the dice. Okay, so we roll the dice, get a random value between 1 and the size of the dice. I just want to show you something. I'm going to see out dice roll. And I'm just going to quickly, in my input file, put in the same values that are in the example. So in the example we had 6, 10, 8, 4, 12, and 20. Cool. Now you can't see me putting these into my input file, but that's because I'm only recording a certain screen. Okay, so right now my input file has different dice sizes, and I am randomly producing numbers between that dice size and 1, and I'm going to print those out. I just want to see what output is being produced. Cool. So these are the answers I get, and I just want to run it again. Okay, let me just delete these and run it again. Do you notice that it always produces the same numbers? Even though I continuously build and run the project. That's because it needs to, this randomization that it does is actually a formula. And since it's a formula, it doesn't change, even though it's supposed to be a random number. It's producing the same numbers, therefore it's not really random. So what is actually there for us to use to prevent that we keep getting the same numbers even though we're trying to get random numbers is to use a seed. And what we're going to base the seed on is time. So how we use the seed. Okay, let me try it here outside first and see what it does. Srand time and put in here now. I don't know why it's time now, but we're using time because time is always changing. And in order to include the system time, so that's your computer time in code blocks, you need to use time.h. So that gives us our time. Right, there's our random seed. Let's run this and see what happens. Okay, we are getting these numbers. Let's run it again. Okay, the numbers change. Let's run it again. Can you see the numbers are continuously changing? Cool. Okay. I just want to see what happens. No. I just want to see what happens if I put this inside the while loop. If it still randomizes the numbers. Okay, get those. Get those. Okay, cool. So whether you put it inside or outside the while loop, it still manages to randomize. Okay, cool. So remember, we are not supposed to produce outputs like this. We're supposed to show the output within a text file. So I'm going to quickly create, an OF stream variable called output file. You can call this anything you like, but these just help me remember that when I want to write data to my output, I use the output file variable and this one for input. Cool. So output file dot open. So C++, code blocks produces or creates a text file for you if you're using the web stream, as long as you specify the name correctly in there with the correct file extension, it will create that for you. You can use .doc or whatever other file extensions, but in this course we're just using text files. So I don't know what this warning is. Implicit conversion loses integer precision. Okay, what do you want me to do? Can I ignore you? I'm gonna ignore that warning because yeah, I don't know what it is for. Anyway, I think because I called this an integer something. I don't know, but it's saying I'm losing some precision because it's actually cutting some of the uh, numbers. Like a long integer um, takes more space in memory and therefore can store a larger number. And since I'm just using an unsigned integer, which I assume is those two, it's kind of cutting some of those values out. Yeah, okay, cool. So I declared my outputs and it works so similar to cout that I can just replace cout with that. And that's it. I'm running one more time. See if I don't make any error. And okay, program ended with exit code 0. So everything is compiled successfully, and that's lab 2 task 1. Let's move quickly to um, task 2, and this one's interesting. So this is your right angled triangle. Let me just erase all this. Okay, task 2, right angled triangle. Cool. Okay, so write a C++ program that reads in one positive integer value x from a file called input.txt and writes to a file called output.txt. A right-angled isosceles triangle of base length x made of asterisk, single space, and carriage return characters only. The hypotenuse in this case must face the left with its equal sides on the right and bottom. Your code should be able to draw a right-angled triangle for any given positive integer. First draw a flowchart and then attempt the code. Okay, you'll do the flowchart. I'll attempt the code. Okay, we given an example of 4 and it produces stars. Okay, cool. So let me actually show you. Please ignore those errors. What is going on? Oh, it was actually perfect. Okay, let me quickly show you how I actually do this stuff with stars and graphic stuff on code blocks. Okay, this should come in handy with your project because you will be displaying how your game is played. So listen carefully. Okay, cool. So we are given the number 4. Wow, why is this thing like that? Wow, okay. That is so weird. Now you want it. Still not working. Why don't you use the pencil? Why? Did I break it? Oh wow. The pencil just broke. Okay, let's leave that anyway. Okay, short. Short. So, uh, 4. Cool. I actually draw out a grid. I think I better draw it out for you here so you can see that. Okay, cool. Leave some space. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So for the example where it's 4, we're given an image like this. I think I missed a number. 1. Okay, cool. So 1, and then you have 1, 2, then you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. Oh, and it's like doesn't ever start there. Sure. Let's just move these. Oh, it's the whole line. Yeah, let's just move these slightly. So it's more clear. There we go. I always draw out the grid, and from that, I'm able to see, I'm able to use these numbers as conditions to know where to draw stars and where to put spaces, okay? Uh, so, so for the number 4, né? You know when we do, what's this? Matrices, né? Whenever we mark a matrix, yeah, we always go row, comma, column. So you're going to do the same thing, okay? So these are our rows and these are our columns, okay? And then if I want to give the coordinates of this star on top, it's going to be row 1, column 4, okay? So can you see that for the number 4, the whole, every coordinate of star, or in the column 4, there's only stars. And as well with the row, in row 4, there's only stars, okay? Cool. So that at least helps us to know that wherever we have 4 as a coordinate, we draw a star. Nah, the middle part's a bit tricky, but we're gonna get to it soon. Okay, I just want to show you how you construct this in code form. Okay, so what you do is you need some type of a loop or structure, I mean a function that's gonna allow you to access every single point in this 2D matrix. Okay, so as my cursor is moving, that's the same way you want to access these things, okay, or these positions. Right, so what we're going to do is use a for loop. So what does a for loop do? A for loop allows us to step through um, I don't know, iterations, or to iterate steps. Okay, for example, I wanna get values between 0 and less than equals to, so equals to, that's from 0 to 4, and I'm going in steps of 1. So what that's going to do is produce for me, I is going to be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, right? That would be like a 1D kind of matrix. So you have a row vector. Okay, is that what it's called? Yeah, a row vector. And the other one would be a column vector. But yeah, column vectors like that. Okay, so we want to have a row vector, but then each element in that row vector needs to have a column vector. What does that mean? It means that each element in the row is going to have its own column vector. So for the element 1, this is the column vector for element 1. This is the column vector for element 2. This is the vector for the column vector for element 3. This is the column vector for element 4. Okay. Since our for loop produces this, if we have another for loop inside of that, okay, what that is going to do is for each value or each element of this for loop, so when I is 1, it will give out 5 values for j, because it's going from 0 to 4. 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see that's 5 values there? Okay, cool. In our required lab, we are going to be moving between 1 and 4. Why? Because it's there for us, right? So we are moving from 1 to 4. 1 to 4, and each value or each element in our first row has elements 1 to 4 as well. That's why. Okay. Now remember what we said, that we want to step through each and every point. Okay. So that's why this loop will cover rows. Yeah, this for loop will cover the rows. The rows go that way. Okay. These are the rows. Okay. And the columns go downwards. So in row 1, which is I, which is 1, we need to step through 1, 2, 3, 4 times, which is what this loop does. Okay. And we use a for loop when we know where we are starting and where we are ending. It's not like a while loop where we just meet a condition. This one gives us a starting point and ending point. which we know beforehand. Okay, so we're gonna use an if statement, right? So remember what we said. If I'm just gonna do that. Okay, if you have um, a row that is equals to 4 or a column that is equals to 4, what do? You're going to see out a star. Do we end line? No. Just see out a star. Just wants a star, not to end the line as well. Cool. Now, next step. It comes here. It says, okay, I is 1, J is 1. So this condition is not met. It goes here, still not met, still not met. And it's like, hold on, I is 1, but J is 4, which is that condition. Therefore, let me take out a star. Cool, we have a star. Now, we need to get this 2D format, we cannot continue on this line, right? So after we're done with our first loop, we need to see out an end line. So what this does, it ends this line and jumps to the next. Okay, now we are here. Remember, this loop ends here. So after the see out, this loop ends, but we're still in the big loop, remember? So we're done with I is 1. Now our I is 2. Remember, I represents our rows. We're in this row now. Now it goes, it goes, it goes. Well, we're supposed to produce a star here. We don't have a condition for that yet. Okay, so let's write a condition for that as well. Okay, so in this for loop, sorry, just check something. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna have another if statement. Okay, now this one, let's see something here, right? For for any diagonal line, I normally have to make a formula, right? So we like, let's see is what position number. Let's see is 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, 4 and 1. Do you see something in common? They all equal or sum up to 5, right? So that will help us with our condition. If our row value plus our column value equal, remember when you write conditions, that's how you do it within an if statement. If you put 1, you are actually declaring that I plus j will equal whatever value you give it. So this equals to actually does the comparison. Cool. I plus j has to equate to 5. Okay. In this case, remember we're just doing a specified case. We will change all this just now for a general case. I was just showing you how things work. Okay. So I plus j has to equal to 5. And if we meet that condition, what do? We see out a star. Cool. Uh-huh. Cool. So now all the diagonals are taken care of. All these ones are taken care of because whenever a column is 4, it's going to take out a star. Whenever a row is 4, it's going to take out a star. Now, what do we do for these spaces? We haven't written anything yet for spaces. Right? For your spaces, you're going to say, if you do not meet any of my conditions stipulated, you are just going to take out a space in that position, right? And after you have run, I put this in the wrong place, sorry. Why do I say that? Because this loop runs once, it doesn't jump here. It has to run once and go here, which is still in the same line, so you cannot put an end line within this loop. It has to be just outside of it. There we go, end line, cool. So I am going to see out this, and we should be getting our star pattern popping up here. All right, there we go. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So we are taking out the correct pattern. Okay. But remember, we are reading in values from. Let me just make sure. An input file. Cool. So we're just gonna do the normal process. Let's do that. I'm just gonna remove this from here. And then I'm going to, I don't need this for now. Let me just leave it there. I'm not going to use it. I have string input file. I am creating a variable called input file of type ifstream. And I am going to open it. I'm going to open which file? Input.txt. Semicolon, don't forget. And while, because I don't know how many values are in my input file, while I can read in values from my input file into, I'm going to give this a name. So we're going to create an integer to get the sizes of the triangles we need to make. So I'm going to call it try size. Now I'm going to initialize it, which is very important, to 0. Cool. So while I'm reading in sizes of triangles, you need to take the size of a triangle and so wherever I see 4, remember that's the size of the triangle, right? I'm going to replace that with the triangle size, because my size may vary, but it will always start at 1 and end at the size given. Cool. Now remember this case was 5, but my size was 4, so I'm going to say triangle size plus 1. And it's very important to use brackets whenever you have a arithmetic operation within an if statement or a condition statement, so that code blocks or your compiler knows to actually perform this operation before checking to see if these two things are equal. Cool. Else, yes. Okay, so we're done and dusted. I'm going to quickly go to my input file and I'll quickly go to my input file. And I'm going to put in the value 4 and also 5 and see if that works. Closing. Cool. Okay, so my input file has the values 4 and 5. So I'm just gonna run this. So I'm expecting to see 2 star symbols. There we go. So this one's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one produced earlier. This is a 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5. So that's how you do this pattern. I'm quickly going to display this in an output file. This is very important whenever you keep forgetting. I'm creating a variable called output file of type OFStream. Output file dot open, and then we're producing output.txt. Semicolon, don't forget. Cool. Wherever I see out, I'm going to put output file there. Remember, you give it to the stream, and the stream does what for you? Takes it to the output.txt. Because some people ask, why don't you just write output.txt, but you pass it to the stream, which is your object, which carries it for you, to your output file, which is called output.txt. Cool. Output file. Cool. When you're done outside your loop, you want to close all the files that you open. Input file dot close, output file dot close, and let's run this. Cool. Compiles, returns 0. Looks good from the side. I'm going to quickly check my output file to ensure that what I actually have here is correct. Okay. And remember, you won't be able to see that screen. Right, so it does produce the star patterns. I am happy. And I'm happy. This one is done. Let's see, do we have another task? No, we don't. So, guess that's it for lab 2. Thank you once again for watching my video, and see you in the next one.